Welcome to the 6th episode of My 3 Thoughts. In this episode, I give my 3 thoughts on Bryan Stevenson's book, Just Mercy. And those 3 thoughts are injustice, mental illness, and documenting journey. So let's get into it. I'm your host, Alexander the Great Reader, and this is a podcast where we read, study lessons, and build our inner power because the next level we will reach does not tolerate cowards. Now, this book by Bryan Stevenson, Just Mercy, it's a very highly rated book, very high ratings. It's praised a lot, and I decided to read it. I like a lot of nonfiction books, and this looked like a interesting book just by the Amazon reviews and the Goodread reviews. Enticed me, encouraged me, motivated me to read it. Now, the first thought I had on this book is injustice. It built an empathy in me. That's what books do. They build this empathy in you of the injustice people of color in the South, because Bryan Stevenson was someone defending black African-American citizens in the South where they were treated unjustly, and the criminal system, justice system, was not operating at the way that it should with everyone equally. And he was there helping, and he talked about a lot of the stories of how the juries were being tampered, where the selection was being done in majority white neighborhoods. The judges were being favorable towards the white defense. A lot of the police officers were not thoroughly doing their investigations and being misleading towards making it seem like the black person that they were accusing was the right person to accuse. And a lot of the injustice that goes on in the courtroom, where they weren't letting a lot of African Americans into the courtroom to support, encourage the black defendants or the black African Americans on trial. So that's the injustice that I kept thinking about just reading this. The second thought is mental illness. And I never realized till reading this that the court system, this might just be in the South. I'm not very thoroughly knowledgeable in the whole court system, but in the South, his experience was that a lot of people with mental illnesses were quickly put through the judicial system and put into jails. And they weren't giving fair trials. And he came with the opinion that they shouldn't even be in jails. They should be in mental institutes. And that just opened my eyes to that, and I felt like his opinion was well presented, and I actually kind of leaned towards his belief where, yeah, they should be in a mental institute. He tells of a story of a kid who ended up killing his stepfather, who was a police officer, and that's why the kid went straight to jail. But he saw this police officer beating his mom over and over, and I don't know, I probably would have done the same thing. But that creates mental instability in a child, seeing that, and someone just doing that to your mother. I wouldn't blame him just overreacting and getting with this rampage outrage towards this man, where he pushed him, and I think he hit the end of his head on I think that's what happened to his mother. I think he shot him, or he did something that killed him. I don't completely remember, but I became empathetic towards the people who have mental illness and how unfairly they're being treated in the justice system, and especially if they're African American. The third thought I got is documenting the journey. and this is something I personally appreciate, because I know there's more lawyers out there doing what Bryan Stevenson is doing. Is this, they're enthralled in their work. Maybe they don't have the capacity or ability to write books or even the thought of writing a book. But Bryan Stevenson, he documented his journey that he had being a lawyer in the South. And it was great reading about that journey. And I got a lot out of it. This book, what it created most into me is empathy, where, wow, some people have it really bad. Some people have bad injustice or a deep, traumatic, unjust event happened to them. And I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful that I've never had to experience something like that. And by Bryan Stevenson documenting his journey, I'm able to sort of relive and hear and be aware of what's going on during a certain period of time and how people had to live and experience. And I appreciate those things. And there's a lot of authors that do that. And Bryan Stevenson did an amazing job in his book. I recommend people to read this book because it's just a well-written book, and the story is amazing. And that's it. Those are my 3 thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next one. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Anchor, or any other podcasting platform so you don't miss my next episode, where I give my 3 thoughts on Seth Godin's This Is Marketing.